Serge Nubret.
They were afraid that Sergio was going to win.
The country said if Serge Nubret is not competing, no competition. I was too powerful and I want to take Weider place. 12 days before, no way. No Arnold, no Lou Ferrigno. Joe is a nice guy. Ben is a politician.
Arnold's a GOAT because he did it first, but I think Serge Nubret would be like insane.
Why is the name Serge Nubret not as well known as many of the other guys that we often talk about?
Because I'm not.
1975. This was the year where the famous movie Pumpin' Iron was filmed.
Certain things were created.
There was some controversy around this event, mainly involving Serge Nubret. He was Arnold's closest competitor and he had a more successful acting career in Europe than Arnold did in the US.
Did about 15 movies before, big screen movie.
Nubret wasn't just a bodybuilder, he was an artist, a philosopher and a movie star. Above that, he had a legendary physique, with the roundest muscle bellies, the tiniest waist, hard and shredded abs, and with one of the best, most muscular poses ever. It was like he was coming from comic books.
He was one of the most aesthetic, one of the most conditioned, and one of the best physiques to ever come out of the 1970s in bodybuilding, period. I mean, this guy was one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time.
If you could put Arnold to be born in 1990 and then come up in this time,
Those genetics.
and those with all the stuff now, what would he look like? Serge Nubret would be even bigger freak. Arnold's a GOAT because he did it first, but I think Serge Nubret would be like insane to see in our generation.
But the 1975 would mark a turning point that would forever define his legacy. In 1975, Serge Nubret was at the peak of his powers, bringing his best shape ever.
So Arnold pretty much retired and he got the Stay Hungry movie. He had to lose something like 25-30 pounds to do that movie.
He was so confident that he could dethrone Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No way. I was 212 and Arnold was 220. I was ripped.
They were afraid that Sergio was going to win.
Most bodybuilders that saw Serge prior to the competition couldn't believe his transformation and said that he was unbeatable and Arnold would not have been able to beat this version of Serge Nubret.
Serge was a smart man and also a skilled organizer who served as the vice president of the IFBB.
I was the first vice president of IFBB, just after Ben Weider.
When the IFBB chose South Africa as the venue of the 1975 Olympia, it was Serge Nubret who backed the country's entry into the federation, even with the controversy surrounding South Africa's racial politics.
A lot of people around Weider think I was too powerful and I want to take Weider place. So they said, Weider, be careful, Serge Nubret is going to be president, the next president of IFBB. And Weider believes them. Joe is a nice guy. Ben is a politician.
But despite his standing in the sport, Nubret received some shocking news when he arrived in South Africa 12 days before the contest.
The day after they told me you cannot compete.
The reason? A baseless accusation that Nubret had appeared in a pornographic film in France.
It really shouldn't matter what you do. It has nothing to do with competing on a bodybuilding stage, which is ironic given the fact that, I'm not going to mention names, there's guys that doing gay porn, solo stuff, they're at the highest Olympia level.
They didn't want Serge overshadowing the main hype around Arnold and Lou Ferrigno.
You know, everybody knew this was going to be filmed, and they wanted it to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno show. They didn't want Serge Nubret to ruin that.
The accusation was false, but the damage was real. Nubret gathered all black and non-white competitors, an attempt to instigate a mass boycott of the competition.
The country said if Serge Nubret is not competing, no competition.
But the FBB council eventually allowed him to compete a day before prejudging, though the harm had already been done.
The day before the prejudging, they told me, okay, Serge, you can compete. I should say no.
During those crucial days, he stopped training and eating for 12 days, losing 12 pounds in the process.
You know, when you have been training for 3 months for the contest and you come to the country, they tell you cannot compete. I stopped eating, I stopped training, I could not eat for 12 days. And I never went to the gym. I went to the gym only the first day when I arrived in South Africa. I never went to the gym again.
Nubret pushed forward, stepping on the stage with what little strength he had left. At the contest, Schwarzenegger was at his very best. He collected his 6th Mr. Olympia trophy by defeating his friend Franco Colombo by a single point in the overall round.
The day of the contest, Arnold was better than me. But 12 days before, no way. I was 212 and Arnold was 220. I was ripped. 12 days before, no way. No Arnold, no Lou Ferrigno.
From France, Serge Nubret.
Nubret, despite everything, still managed to secure second place in the heavyweight category, finishing ahead of Lou Ferrigno. But to this day, many believe that Arnold wasn't unbeatable, and if Nubret had competed at full strength, the outcome might have been different. It's one of the great what-ifs in Olympia history. Personally, I think the film would have been even more successful if, at the end, Nubret had come from nowhere to defeat Arnold.
An unexpected entry in the tall class of the Olympia contest. Serge Nubret, 41 years old, 6 feet, 200 pounds. Mr. France, and a movie and television star in Europe.
The documentary Pump and Iron barely acknowledged Nubret, and they minimized his appearances. One of the sport's most important figures at that time becomes just another competitor that will lose to the great Arnold. Although the film crew had recorded Nubret's training in France months earlier and offered him only $200 for his image rights, Nubret said no, and because of that, they portrayed him as just another competitor rather than the giant of the sport that he was.
They come to Paris to shoot me. They come to the gym. My wife was waiting. Everything was perfect. And then say, okay, Mr. Nubret, we don't have a lot of money. We can give you $200. If they will tell me we don't have money, we cannot pay you, you know, that won't be an insult. That will be, say, okay, no problem, okay? But offer me $200, and I said, no, I don't want that. This is why they cut all the thing about me.
Meanwhile, Arnold, Lou, and Franco used the film to boost their mainstream success. Nubret's career, however, took a different path.
After the Mr. Olympia in 1975, they suspended me.
He rebelled against the Weider empire that controlled every aspect of the sport, and because of that, he was permanently banned from competing at the Olympia after the 1975 in his peak years, when he or Oliva, who was also banned, would probably have won all of those Olympiads from 1976 to 1979 and possibly beyond those years.
We could have seen Serge's name up there with the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the Sergio Olivas, the Frank Zane. He was an uncrowned Mr. Olympia because of the fact that the odds were so clearly stacked against him.
Why is the name Serge Nubret not as well known as many of the other guys that we often talk about?
Because I'm not American. I live in Europe, and I think because they never put me on magazine, because I never make publicity for protein. I never did that.
He refused to sign a contract with the Weiders. He refused to move to America, refused to follow their directives, and refused to say he was following the so-called Weider training principles.
I was not playing game. If we don't do something good, I said, Ben, that was very good what you did. But if sometimes you don't follow the constitution, I said, Ben, be careful that you cannot do that, because everybody crossed their mouth in front of Ben. And I think Ben lacked some challenge too, because he lacked when you tell the truth. They think I was too powerful for them, so they asked Ben to kick me out, because Weider will never do that, because I helped him too much with IFBB. But now I think Ben did a good job. He did a good job for the bodybuilding sport.
On March 19, 2009, Nubret was discovered in a comatose state in his home. He was rushed to the hospital and he eventually came out of the comatose state, but never recovered, never talked again, and was moved to a long-term care facility, where he died 2 years later, on 2011, at the age of 72. Unfortunately, as bad as that sounds, what happened to Nubret may have been much worse than that, which will be detailed in another video that you really don't want to miss. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications if you are interested. See you in the next one. Peace.
I would have said hello to Arnold, hello to Zane, Draper. I'm waiting. Maybe I will meet the Weider over there in heaven, and we make a federation in heaven. You know. There you go. But I hope me and Weider will work before that on Earth.